There is a YouTube comment on my reaction video that I would like to read. It says, oh, for God's sake, are the Bad Batch ever going to get an actual profit from these treasure missions? At this rate, the next treasure they go after is going to result in the resurrection of Darth Plagueis or something.
That's a fair point.
Have they ever gotten a profit?
No, they're not. They're 0 for 2 with treasures this season.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Star Wars podcast, Bad Batch Breakdown Edition. We have two very special guests with us here today, Matt.
Yeah. Little baby Bilbo. Oh, look at him. He's just a little man.
Oh, he's so cute.
And
we have little Dino.
Yeah. So Bilbo and Dino.
Little Dino. Everybody say hi to Bilbo and Dino, who have no apparent idea of what's going on right now.
Say hello, Bilbo. Say
hello.
Hi, so Bilbo is, if you guys didn't know, he's named after my other dorky obsession, which is Lord of the Rings. He even has his one ring of power. He's the little ring bearer. See that?
Oh, he's so precious.
It says Bilbo, and then he has the one ring inscription on his collar.
That's such a sick collar.
It's awesome, yeah.
Did you get that custom made?
Yeah, on Etsy. So
that's so awesome. And this is Dino's second appearance on the podcast, actually. I don't remember what breakdown. Oh, it was during Andor. It was during Andor, and I was holding her when I was watching Andor, and she started barking during like a really intense scene, and I was like, okay.
Bilbo just farted. Oh my God.
Nice.
Buddy. Come on.
A nice broccoli fart.
His tail. Dino's she's a little stinker. She's like, she's becoming grumpy in her old age. Meanwhile, Bilbo's a spry young chicken. He's only 6 months old.
Well, Dino's 9, I think.
Dino's old, yeah. Old? She's at 9 or almost 10, I guess. But anyways, that's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about dogs.
We could. I think we'd get more views.
They are very cute. I mean, come on. Look at this little man.
I've been dying for you to bring Bilbo. Bilbo's so sweet. Hi, buddy. I've never met him in person, but you are precious as heck. Holy cow.
He is so nice. He's trying to hide his face. Why are you doing that?
Let him lick your nose. He loves doing that.
You want to kiss me? Besitos? Besitos? Besitos?
Dino, I wish you would let me kiss you, because she'll freak out if I go.
Yeah, she hates that.
She'll push the face away. But no, we're not here to talk about our dogs, even though you guys would probably love it if we did for like a whole hour. We're here to talk about the Bad Batch episode, season 2, episode 5, Entombed. Entombed, right? I said that correctly. Yeah, I said that correctly.
Entombed.
Yeah.
Or as we could call it, the Star Wars Indiana Jones crossover.
The Indiana Jones episode of Star Wars, the blatant Indiana Jones episode, or Goonies, if we wanted to.
Yeah. Or even Lord of the Rings. There's some Lord of the Rings references in here as well.
That's true. There are.
Yeah. There was a lot of inspiration from other fantasy shows and adventure shows within this episode, which was fun. I thought some nice callbacks, right?
Yeah.
Some nice paying homage to, I'm sure, what Dave Filoni has found as being a very inspirational couple of, I don't know, episodes, movies, whatever it is.
Well, Lucasfilm also has to parody their own stuff.
Lucasfilm that's true. That is a good point. I always forget that Indiana Jones is Lucasfilm. Like when I think George Lucas, I always think Star Wars. I'm like, oh, it's Indiana Jones too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that he was the co-creator.
Yeah, great stuff all around. Good adventure episode. Nice little crossover. Before we get into that, though, did we have any Star Wars news?
At the top of my head, we are recording this shortly after we've done our reaction videos, so I didn't see anything for this specific week. Did you?
I'm trying to think. I think I saw a couple of things or something that maybe we forgot to cover last time.
There are a lot of Ahsoka rumors, but I don't really know what to trust on those.
Oh, Beth is home. Hold on. Let me go take the little stinker too. Here's mommy. Bilbo, say
No
goodbye.
problem.
Say goodbye.
Say bye. I'm gonna put Dino down. Okay. I don't know what
no
Star
more dogs.
Wars.
All right. The dogs, are now gone.
We've gotten rid of our dogs since they just don't want to sit still for that long or talk about Star Wars. So, as far as Star Wars news goes, I genuinely don't know at the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of that you and I talked about a little bit this week is, I think it was a Star Wars Celebration news. It's in Europe this year for anyone who doesn't know. So we will not be going to that this year. It's just a little too far. Even though it is in England, it's going to be in the UK. Star Wars Celebration Europe. They've announced some of the celebrity guests, I believe. So let me pull that up real quick. Anthony Daniels, Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lantor, and D. Bradley Baker are the first to be announced. As well as Giancarlo Esposito, Vivian Lyra Blair, who is young Leia, and Indira Varma from the Obi-Wan show, who has the tragic death with the thermal detonator. So those are the first guests announced for Star Wars Celebration Europe. A little bummed. I'm kind of bummed that it's in Europe. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I am too.
But that's okay.
A little disappointing.
That's how it goes. I also saw some unconfirmed leaks about how Ubisoft has hired one of the Battlefront directors to help shape social interactions within the open world Star Wars project that they're working on. I'm very excited about this. I love open world video games. Oblivion, Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2 is my favorite video game of all time, I think. And I think this Star Wars game is going to rival that if they do it correctly. So that's big news. I also love Battlefront 2. So having anyone hired over from that side of things is great. Oh, the other news that we forgot to mention last week, but it had just come out when we were recording our episode. Lars Mikkelsen has reported that he never received an offer to play Thrawn.
I don't believe him.
Yeah, I think that they do this. I think that was my first thought too. This is just lying. Like Liam Neeson said the same thing about coming back as Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no reason to believe creaky, sneaky Lars Mikkelsen. They're just trying to throw us off the scent. I would imagine, if that was the case, he probably would have said something immediately after receiving, once the news broke. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I mean, even if you look at if you look at when Spider-Man: No Way Home was first rumored to have Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in it, and Andrew Garfield was like, "No, I'm not in it. I'm not in it." He essentially ruined the credibility of any actor from here on out, because now it's you're seeing the same thing with Liam Neeson. You're like, "Oh, I'm not in it. I'm kind of a snob when it comes to TV." And now Lars Mikkelsen, we literally have no reason to believe these guys. Because they have to sign NDAs, they have to keep everything close to the chest. I'm pretty sure Dave Filoni wouldn't want it spoiled who is playing Thrawn. Lars Mikkelsen played him in the animated series. That there's literally no reason why he wouldn't play him in live action. So I have every reason to believe he's lying.
He looks the part. He's a great actor, great voice actor. It just makes sense, you know? And I think having a big actor like that's going to continue to be important for Star Wars. And I also love how they bring in big name actors. We talked about this last week, and this is the same for this week too. But big name actors and even Star Wars animated shows. I love that. I think it's awesome.
Well, also it gets the non-fans interested too, you know?
Right, 100%. Gets non-fans interested, but it is cool when you're able to get the same voice actor into live action.
It would just be really weird if they went, because for a long, I can't speak, but for a long time, people were saying that they wanted Benedict Cumberbatch to play Thrawn, which I don't agree with. I personally would not like to see him as Thrawn. I don't know. I've gotten used to the persona that is Lars Mikkelsen in the animated series, but I don't know. If I were to glance upon this and give you a quick answer, I would say he's lying, but you never know with these things. They're up in the air.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out very soon, I'm sure. This time is going by quickly, and we're getting closer and closer to the release date of Ahsoka. But in the meantime, we are in the middle of Bad Batch Season 2, and Mandalorian comes out in T-minus 1 month and 1 week. So we got plenty of other stuff to focus on in the meantime.
That's true.
So let's jump in, shall we?
Let's do it. Or let's break it down scene by scene. It's not too much to talk about here, but
not too much to talk about. I think we can keep this episode pretty quick. this is just a fun we already kind of touched upon this. Kind of a fun episode. Not a whole lot of action happening in terms of the greater plot for the overarching season, but fun nonetheless. Very similar to last week. Just a fun adventure story with the full Bad Batch being there, as well as Wanda Sykes' character. So I would like to start this episode with this video really quickly. I would like to start with this. Uh-oh. And then a giant sentinel robot comes out of the ground and starts shooting droids. All right. Enough of that. Sorry.
That was literally shot for shot with Omega and Fee, or Nanny McPhee, or whatever her name is, Fee. That was literally shot for shot. Like, Nanny Omega McPhee was even doing the thing. She was even doing the hand thing.
Was she?
Yeah, she is. Her hands go up.
Oh, really?
And she's going like this in the scene.
Wow. Yeah, there's just major Indiana Jones vibes throughout, which we can get to. So let's start. First scene, Wrecker and Omega, they're in a space junkyard looking for scraps. They were looking for a compressor of some sort. I don't know what a compressor does. They mentioned this in the sequels. Rey and Han are talking like cool space jargon, and she's like, I rerouted the compressor. And he's like, oh, that's pretty good there, kid. And you're like, this is cringe. So I wonder what a compressor does, but that's what they're looking for. Omega finds a couple other things. I have no idea what they are. It's like a big ball-headed thing.
She finds she's about to make a disco ball for the Marauder ship.
Yeah. Something cool to dangle on the rearview mirror. They bring it back. Tech's like, you should have left this in the junkyard. It's all crap. But what's her name? Nanny McPhee. Or
Nanny McPhee.
I'm gonna call her Wanda Sykes because that's who it is. She gets she's like, oh no, that's a super special thing, and we know it's a super special thing because chimes play when they look at it, and that's how you know something's super special in a TV or movie, in a TV show or movie, is if it goes when they show something. That means you know it's special. That was the worst impression of chimes I've ever done.
Yeah, that really was though. I don't know what that was.
It's hard to imitate chimes.
Well,
it's not one of my best impressions.
No, for sure. And there are many impressions that we tend to do on this show.
Yes.
I get what you mean, though, because currently I'm watching The $6 Million Man from the 1970s. Terrible show, by the way. Yeah. Maybe one of the worst shows from the 70s I've ever watched. But whenever he does something, it goes... It's super cheesy. It's so bad. So bad. It's so bad. But like, you're right. Like, it's like when they put the focus on like those little objects, it's like, oh, it's a magical thing. It's like the magical thing gets its own theme. Yeah. It's like The Ring.
Yeah. Anyway. So anyways, yeah, the objects have their own themes. This one is special objects get chimes all the time. So Wanda Sykes gets her droid. Mel, who I love Mel. I think Mel is a fantastic addition to the show. I don't know what kind of droid Mel is, but cool sound design for Mel. Cool sound design throughout this whole episode. I love sound design, and we love Mel. Mel is fantastic. Shines a light on the object, and they figure out it's some kind of compass. So immediately we're like, okay, this is just another video game journey episode. And they even say, they're like, we're not even on a mission right now. Like, that's what Wrecker says. And so we're like, yeah, okay, I guess we're just going to go waste some time.
We're going to go have a quick little Indiana Jones adventure.
Yeah, we're going to go on a treasure
hunt.
Main plot. We're going to get some treasure, as Omega would say. We're going to get some treasure.
Find some treasure? Oh, that's safe. I can't do an accent. I can't do an Aussie. Or what is terrible. She? New Zealand. Sorry, New Zealand. Not Aussie.
She's from New Zealand. She's a Kiwi, is the cool thing there. So Wrecker's supportive. They're like, hey, Echo's a party pooper here. He's like, our last treasure hunt didn't go as expected. And you're like, okay, we're going anyways, party pooper. So Wanda Sykes is like, don't worry, you got me. I'm sassy. And we're going to have a great time. So they get to the place. They see it's a scorched, lifeless world. I forget the name of the planet. What's it called? I don't remember. I don't even know if the planet had a name, now that I say that.
I'm not sure that it did.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. They might have mentioned it in the bar. I think they mentioned it in the bar briefly.
Oh, the Kaldar Trinitary Kingo.
Yeah, because the object's named something like that.
Kaldar Trinitary or Trinity, something like that. It has something to do with like a try thing in it. I don't know. Kaldar. Oh, here it is. Yeah, the Kaldar trinary system. There you go. I was close enough. All right. So they see this scorched, lifeless world, no vegetation. They're cutting through. Very Indiana Jones-esque here. They're cutting through the brushes and stuff. They get to the mountain. This is where I get the Lord of the Rings vibes from. So they come to the mountain, they look, and they're like, let's get inside the mountain in a very sexual way.
Nope.
But it looks a lot like the Mines of Moria here. So that's immediately what came to mind here. And then the second Lord of the Rings reference we get is, what's her name? Wanda Sykes is like, hey, it's the legend of Scooby-Doo now, or whatever it's called. Yeah, whatever. Scooby-Doo now. And then
Skara-Nai or something?
Skaranal.
And
she says, the heart of the mountain lies inside. And I'm like, oh, just like the Misty Mountains from the dwarves, from the Hobbit with the Arkenstone.
Yep.
Ooh, fancy. And then more chimes play. Yeah. And it's a really old place, all right? Super old place. They move some rocks, get in there. There's some creature looking after them, which will come back to fight them later. And now we're in video game level central, and this is where it really becomes Indiana Jones-esque.
Yes.
We get you have to line up the puzzle pieces, like much like a video game here. The music playing is just infinitely Indiana Jones-esque. That was like, okay, we're doing a super adventure-y Indiana Jones movie. What did you think?
It kind of reminded me, it definitely reminded me of Indiana Jones, but it kind of reminded me of just like the gameplay of Jedi Fallen Order. Like that's I
actually say that in my reaction video. I thought
okay, I haven't watched your reaction video, so I don't know, but the whole episode felt like I was playing a level or going through the gameplay of Jedi Fallen Order, which I thought was fun. Like I enjoyed it a lot. We keep talking about this, but like the Kiner brothers have just snapped with the music. It's like they keep elevating the music every single episode. But you know how the main theme of Indiana Jones is that not his theme, but the theme of the arc, which is the I'm not singing it right, but
we get the picture.
That whole scene when Wrecker's lining it up, it's like a reverse version of that theme. When Wrecker's lining up the puzzle pieces, and I went back and I rewatched it after the end, but it literally sounds like a reverse theme for the arc in Indiana Jones. And it's crazy good. I highly recommend you go back and listen to it. And I got such a huge kick out of that because naturally, like, I don't have to tell you this. You and I, our family is like a huge Indiana Jones family. But to kind of hear that and see and hear the influences were super cool. And I think that played well into the overall vibe. So that sequence when they're like undoing the puzzle, it's like get through the video game level and unlock this so you can get your new mission or whatever. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think you're right with the Jedi Fallen Order thing. I think the planet's name is Zepho, I think. And it also has to do with old Jedi stuff. And they ask if it's a Jedi thing, and they're like, no, it's older. So like just little touches and hints to the game, I thought, as well as with Indiana Jones, which was cool. But that's very interesting with the music. I'll have to go back and listen to that. But you're totally right.
I want the soundtrack already.
Kiner brothers crushing it. So blah blah blah. They do the puzzle, whatever. They're trying to get the rare crystal stone, the Arkenstone, the heart of the mountain, whatever. And as they're walking through, they're attacked by the monster from Cloverfield, which we never really get a great look at. But that thing's kind of scary, and they shoot, and then they get separated. So do you know what I'm talking about, the monster from Cloverfield?
The monster from Cloverfield? I know what you're referencing.
Cloverfield's that movie. I'll pull up a picture of it. Cloverfield's that movie from 2008 or something like that about a monster that attacks. It's like shot like the Blair Witch. Here's what I'm talking about. This is the monster from Cloverfield.
I've seen a picture of it before, but I've never seen the film.
I mean, am I right or am I right?
No, you're absolutely right. You're 110% right. That's exactly what that looks like. A lot of people said too, they were like, it kind of also looks like the Zillow Beast from that one Clone Wars arc. Like the Godzilla Clone Wars arc.
I know what that episode is for sure.
The Godzilla episode. So it was, I think they tried to, I actually laughed when Wrecker started punching it in the face and he like ripped one of its limbs off or something. Like midair.
Oh, is this the thing you're talking about right here?
Yes, my boy, the Zillow Beast. Which, by
this
the way,
guy's a nice boy. We like him, don't we?
No, I said my boy.
We like him.
We do like him, but Palpatine at the end of the episode, they never went back into this, which I thought was interesting. But at the end of that episode, Palpatine has it killed, and then he's like, he implies that they're going to clone it, and then use it for something. But then they never did anything with it.
Oh yeah,
in later
he's
seasons.
Minding his own business, and they blast him.
He didn't do anything wrong. But look, listen, man, Padme was fighting for its rights that entire episode, so kudos to her.
That's true. She's an animal rights activist.
Good for Padme.
Cool. Nice job, Padme. So yeah, the Cloverfield Beast, I'm going to call it that from now on, attacks them. They get separated. And Tech is just like, we'll meet up with you guys later. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. In the meantime, Hunter and Wanda Sykes and Omega see the markings on the wall. They're navigating with their compass thing. She's like, we got to walk through the ceiling. Again, big puzzle vibes, trying to figure this out. How do we do this? How do we do that? Very much video game vibes throughout. She ends up figuring out that you got to just stick the compass in, and then the cave moves to the way that they need to go. Mm-hmm. So super video game vibes here. Also music, Indiana Jones. Booby traps, that's as well. Super Indiana Jones-esque. As Hunter tries to walk across, the ground falls out from under him, just like in The Last Crusade. As Indiana Jones is trying to get to the Holy Grail, when he's it's not the penitent man will pass part. It's when he's trying to spell out Yeshua or Jehovah or whatever, and he's stepping on those different things, and he steps right through because he spells it wrong. He steps to the floor.
Idiot. Jehovah is spelled with an I. What does he say?
Yeah. Jehovah is spelled with an I.
Yeah.
Not a J. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know that scene, maybe actually we could pull up that scene.
Listen, if you guys haven't seen Indiana Jones, what are you doing? There's this guy I work with, and he's like in his 40s, and he's in his late 30s, early 40s, and he's like, yeah, I've never seen Indiana Jones. He just casually mentioned it one day, and I was like, sir, one does not simply go through life without watching Indiana Jones. It's just not done.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to me. I feel like either people it's almost like you had to have not grown up with it. Like your parents must have just never have put it on. Or because I feel like a lot of these things like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, like people are so attached to them because they grew up on them. And unless you grew up on them, you're not really going to have seen them or have had a connection to it.
Totally. Oh my gosh, someone is calling me on my phone from an unknown number.
Maybe it's the Bad Batch.
Maybe it is. So this is the scene. This is the scene we're talking about. It's literally like I would be shocked if someone was like, oh, that was totally by accident. Because it's definitely not. Where is it? He didn't step through yet.
I think.
Oh, there we go. Here it is.
Maybe this is a thought for the end, but I just had a thought about maybe a criticism of the episode that I have. Hang on.
Well, what is it? You can give a criticism. It's not like we're getting into anything super deep with this episode. What's your criticism?
I think it infinitely would have been a better episode if Wanda Sykes was a threat. Right?
Like if she was a little bit more reckless or something?
No, not reckless, but
mean.
She takes Omega and she's like, I'm going to shoot this kid unless you help me find the treasure. Like Omega is almost the hostage in this sense. And maybe this planet with this little maze that actually turns out to be a ship is extremely deadly. And she's like, you guys are going to go in and you're going to get that treasure for me. Otherwise, I'm going to kill the kid.
Yeah.
And so if they had to, almost kind of like the Last Crusade plot, where Indy's father gets shot. And he's like, well, you got to go in and get the thing because otherwise your father's going to die. I just feel like that would have made the episode more interesting and added more stakes to it.
Yeah, that's not a bad call. The only thing with that is they probably want to use Wanda Sykes in more episodes, and it'd be too early to burn the bridge right now, right?
I don't think they need to burn the bridge per se, but that could just, I don't know, make her out to be more of a interesting character, because in this episode, to me personally, she was extremely one-dimensional. Very flat. Very much she is very much the epitome of a character that you go up to in a video game and they go, I'll pay you 6 pieces if you go and get this mission done. Like, she was that character. There was no depth to her. You know,
yeah,
and
you could have made the episode without her and it would have been fine. She was actually just annoying. She was just like, I'm going to get my treasure. And then she loses the Ark and Stone thing.
You know what she was,
like, you're just a nuisance. You stink at this.
You know what she was, dude? She was a less interesting Hondo.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
You know, and I was joking in my reaction video. I was like, you know what? She would get along really well with Hondo. And she would. I think that dynamic would be super funny. But she's also, I don't know, like, she doesn't have enough energy to be interesting. Like there's intrigue there, but it just feels like they didn't dive into anything with her. Yeah. You know, she's like, I'm just a friendly pirate.
Yeah. She was very kind of like whatever. There was not a ton of depth to her character. She adds a little bit, but it's like, I guess she's the whole reason they win on the adventure, right? Because they might not have anyways, because they all kind of had their heads screwed on.
She is, but I think it would be interesting if she like tricked them into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, give her more of a motivation other than, hey guys, want to go on some wacky hijinks with me because I'm a nice pirate.
Yeah. No, maybe she's just supposed to be this like wacky person. I don't know. But I agree with you. I think it's like wasn't utilized the best in this episode. Anyways, so they're walking across the ceiling, or he falls through, blah, blah, blah. They put the compass in there and they cross. So Tech and Wrecker and them are still trying to find them. They somehow get super lucky because their comms aren't working anymore. They stumble through. They find them. They get to the door thing. She opens up the door really easily. I'm surprised there was no booby trap there, but whatever. Wanda Sykes opens the door. They get in there, and there's the Arkenstone, this big, beautiful gem.
Insert sound effect here.
And she grabs it, and then it seals the entrances. And then it gets like super intense, and like the beam explodes from the mountain. There's like lava and shit, and it's just like hectic craziness is going on outside. And so they're like, put it back, deactivate it. What do we do? They don't really know what they're doing. It's this big giant machine, which I was kind of confused by. Like, what is this thing? Who put it there? I wish we could have had some more explanation. They could have found something in the tunnels that would have explained it. But yeah, I don't know. It looked like
Zepho.
Right. It looked just like, that's what I was going to say. It looked just like the Zepho things from the Sentinel things from Jedi.
Yeah, because the Zepho were engineers, right? I think as far as I understood that, I went on Wikipedia and I looked it up. It's like they're engineers, like they're known for like their architecture and like the things that they build. And I think I still have the Wikipedia page pulled up. Hang on. Zepho.
Yeah, that was my first thought too. It looks just like those little Sentinel guard thingies, but like it was just shooting stuff. Like it was just burning the lands, and that's clearly why there was all the burn marks on the scorched lands was because of that thing. And here's the other thing that's confusing to me. You pull the thing out, you can't control it. It just does whatever it wants. You live inside of it, I guess. And then you put the thing back and then it just breaks down. It's not very good engineering.
Well, it says here, okay, so it says the Zepho, this is on Wikipedia, it says the Zepho, known as the Zephonians, were an ancient sentient species native to the planet Zepho. Many Zepho could wield the Force, which they referred to as the life wind, and those who did became known as sages. Originated as a peaceful civilization, over time they became more and more corrupt, eventually falling to the dark side of the Force. Facing extinction, the remnants of the Zepho fled into the great unknown, hoping to finally find peace. And they do mention their technological achievements, like their engineering achievements, like that's primarily what they were known for. But also some of them could use the Force. So I definitely think that this is a callback to Jedi Fallen Order for sure, especially with like the design. Because I even said in my reaction video, like the design of the ship at first looked like the World Between Worlds to me. And then I got a closer look and I'm like, I swear to God, we've seen this in Jedi Fallen Order. And then I went back and I looked and I'm like, yep, these markings like look really similar.
Which I love. I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad they're connecting the two things. I think they should be doing that more. And I think we will get a lot more of that with the new game that comes out And I really hope they do. Like I think we'll get a live action Cal Kestis pretty soon. And I would imagine that this new game, the Jedi Survivor, is going to be a lot. It's going to contribute a lot to his story more, to maybe see him more often. So being able to see these connections essentially is like, this is my point, is like, it's cool. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's great. And I enjoyed the design of the interior of the ship.
Yeah, cool. Very simple.
I really liked
controls. Weird.
I like the lights of it. I just liked it. Looked very like kind of sleek and modern, but again in like a Star Warsy way. Like they put it through the blender. I thought it was a really cool design.
It looked like Disney's Star Wars hotel, maybe.
Oh, you mean like their Star Cruiser? That's not really a Star Cruiser.
Yes.
The thing that costs $5,000 per hour to stay there.
That's worth it, dude. Because you
get
to eat Star Wars food. So
if I wanted to eat Star Wars food, I would just go to bed. And you get to stay in the same room
as your kids and sleep on a bunk bed, which is so dope. Okay.
Okay, good. I thought you were being serious for a second, and I was like,
joking.
"There's no way in heck."
No, I also the fact it's based around the sequel trilogy. No, I'm not interested in that. So yeah. Side tangent, I'm not going to go stay at Disney hotel anytime soon. So then stupid Wanda Sykes is being annoying. She's running around with a little Arkenstone, and she almost falls. Hunter saves her. Meanwhile, this thing is wreaking havoc, this big Sentinel thing. And the saddest part of the episode happens where he blasts Mel, the droid, to smithereens. Yeah, that ruined my day. Ruined it, dude.
Why did they take the droid? Like, what was the purpose of taking the droid? Like, was there a purpose in taking the droid? Like, initially, I thought they brought the droid because the droid could read the map, or at least like put the light through the map. In which case, I was going to be like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." But there was literally no reason to bring this droid along, and I think they just brought it to be killed.
Yeah,
that's literally the only purpose.
But luckily, we get a hint later on that Wanda Sykes is going to rebuild him because she backed up his memory. Thank God, because this guy, he was too cool to lose, and he's the whole reason they went on this mission anyways, because he was helping them read the compass. So, really irresponsible droid owner Wanda Sykes is, but nonetheless, we'll continue. So they're trying to turn this thing off. That big Cloverfield monster comes back, is attacking everyone. It's just chaos here. Tech's trying to regain control of the machine, can't figure it out. And then they put the Arkenstone back into the machine. It just melts, which again, I don't get what the purpose of this machine is. Like, you can only turn it on once and it just destroys everything and then you kill it. Like, that seems kind of a waste of a machine. Maybe there's something I'm missing. And if I am, leave a comment and let me know. So the thing crashes around. This thing's huge, by the way. It's like a 50-story building, probably more, probably like a 100-story building.
It looks a little bit like a Zepho itself, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It
with
totally
its
does.
shape.
Yeah. It's an interesting, it'd be a cool weapon. I mean, I don't know how many of those there are, but I thought it was an interesting creative thing to have that be part of the mountain. It's been there for thousands of years, so that it's just become a mountain because there's been stuff that's grown over it. So I thought that was interesting. Again, I don't understand the point of it from the Zepho's point of view, but that's neither here nor there.
Technological advancement.
I guess so. Omega's Mrs. Positive here. She's like, well, at least we found it. I'm like, okay, good, positive person. Hunter's also being positive. He's like, well, at least no one can use this weapon again. Omega's like, sorry, we lost Mel, but then Wanda Sykes is like, we'll rebuild them. And then they have another Indiana Jones reference here of finding a chalice. She's like, I'm going to go find an ancient chalice of the kingdom of Eleusis or whatever. And then they're skeptical, blah, 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 blah. They get on the Marauder and they leave.
Ta-da!
Fun episode. The Indiana Jones Bad Batch episode. Nothing crazy here. I would have liked to see a little bit more plot forwarding stuff. I feel like we could have placed this episode later on in the season. I don't know what else they have the rest of the season, so it's going to be tough to say that till the whole thing's done with, but I feel like you could have placed this anywhere in the season. You know? It didn't have to be right after the pod racing episode or the riot racing episode, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I also hear a lot of commentary going around. You know how a lot of people are comparing the Bad Batch to the Clone Wars in the sense where, you know, the Clone Wars would have like the 3-part arc with the clones on Umbara and General Krell is killing them and Rex has to rebel against them. And then the following week, it's like Jar Jar and his love interest, you know, like it was really randomized, but it built the world. And it had the space to do that. With Bad Batch, I think people are also trying to compare it in that way, being like, not every episode's going to move the plot forward. Like sometimes you're going to just have episodes that like bond you to the characters and help you understand them and have happy, fun times going off looking for in Indiana Jones treasure. I'm a little torn because I feel like Bad Batch is so focused in on this group of clones that it would almost have more linear storytelling than Clone Wars, which was kind of a broader topic. And so I don't know, because I really do enjoy these side episodes, these side adventures, and I think they're really important because I think you need to like have these experiences with these characters that aren't super dramatic so you get attached to them. But at the same time, I do enjoy a super linear focused format of storytelling. And I kind of feel like with Bad Batch, it should be tighter in terms of the narrative that they're choosing to follow, especially with like the stuff with like Crosshair and, Cody and then Rex. So it's like I feel a little bit torn because while I do enjoy the kind of random side adventures, I'm also kind of like, I feel like this should be more linear because Clone Wars was broader and it should do exactly what it did, which is kind of jump around so it can expand the overall stories of Star Wars and the Clone Wars. And while I do feel like the Bad Batch has the same elements, I just don't know if the same tactic applied in Clone Wars works here. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I think you're right. I'm not like, I'm also like approaching this show in general with just like a very open mind. You know what I mean? I'm not, I don't naturally have any like preconceived notions or expectations of where it's going to go, what it's going to be. Similar to Clone Wars, honestly. Like, I didn't really have as many expectations there. I just knew that it had to happen in between a certain time period. But this one is a little bit more open-ended. And there's a lot of potential, as we know, with the show from both this season and last season and how they can tie it into some of these other shows. So in that regard, I know that there is some things I would just like to see some broader things, such as them tying in some stuff with the other live action shows.
Which, by the way, that's not to say it's like a criticism. That's not me sitting here being like, it needs to be tighter. It's just making me think like, do they need to do all the, because they've done a lot of episodes like this.
Yeah.
Season 1 still had a bunch of them, but I don't know. It's just like when you're comparing the way that you tell stories, and this is not necessarily ruining the show for me. It's just like, that's interesting. Like, would a linear storytelling format work better for them?
Yeah, I don't think I don't know that it would work better necessarily, but I think it might be worth trying. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're taking the Clone Wars format and just putting it on this, which, like, fine. But I think it would be interesting if they did like a really dramatic story, for 20 episodes. That'd be harder to do. And I don't mind episodes like this. Like,
no, neither do I. They're fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be interesting if they had longer arcs, you know what I mean? More cliffhangers, not like super bad cliffhangers, but just leaving you on the edge of your seat going, I want to see more. Which, by the way, like, I'm still excited for next week. I think it'll be good. It's just like, I think that you could have taken this episode and put it somewhere else in the season. But I guess we'll see. With how they finished up this whole season. And then I can make my full judgment call.
Right. No, I'm enjoying it. Believe me, honestly, I'm enjoying it as is. I am soaking up this show and I am enjoying every second of it. It's just something I've been thinking a lot about lately. Like, I don't know if the animated series have actually, well, Rebels kind of did. They did have some random episodes where it would be like Zeb on the planet by himself and no other cast member is in this episode and it's just Zeb, and then like the next 3 episodes would be about like Kanan and the wolves and Ezra on Lothal. It's just I don't think I've ever seen like a straight zip.
Yeah.
So that's just something to food for thought.
We'll see where it ends up going. But let's get to some viewer questions, thoughts.
I think we only have a couple. There is a YouTube comment on my reaction video that I would like to read. It's not a question, but it made me laugh. And the comment is from, I think, Aiden the Legend on my YouTube video. And it says, Oh, for God's sake, are the Bad Batch ever going to get an actual profit from these treasure missions? At this rate, the next treasure they go after is going to result in the resurrection of Darth Plagueis or something.
That's a fair point.
Have they ever gotten a profit?
No, they're not. They're 0 for 2 with treasures this season. I don't remember last season enough, but yeah, they're not doing hot. I would say they need to reevaluate their strategies.
And I think this is all going to play into Sid's exit from the show, and they need to move on because they're clearly not doing well with her and her companions like Wanda Sykes. But that comment just made me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. Let's see. Kelatar says, good adventure episode. Not everything has to be connected to some overarching grand plan, main plot. True, although we just had one of these last week. So it's I'd like to at least have an idea of where we're going to go next. I like having these placed in between heavy episodes because it lightens the tension a little bit, Yeah. So I agree that not every episode has to be that way. I just think the placement of this could have been maybe somewhere else.
And I think honestly, if I were to give a critique, I would just say I would have added more of a story element to it. I think something that would have helped this episode is Hunter and Echo were both extremely grumpy in this episode. Something in this episode that I think would have elevated it or at least made it more interesting is I think it would have been more interesting if Hunter was mad that Omega, Tech, and Wrecker went riot racing. And he was like, hey, you guys can't do this. We're supposed to be keeping a low profile and you just exposed yourself out there. And maybe that would carried into the plot thread of this episode. And Omega's upset that Hunter's mad at her. Yeah. Or something. Yeah. Couldn't we have carried some story element that through?
A little bit more tension or rift, a rift, a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Struggle. There's a little bit more of something. They had this thing that attacked them, but there wasn't as much interaction. Everyone got along too well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was no character dynamic. And I think had Hunter just been because Hunter and Echo don't seem happy with it. And I think if Hunter was hey, I'm disappointed in you, Omega, and there's kind of a rift there, and she's really, really upset because she's oh, but Tech did something so cool and great. I don't know. It's just I feel it could have just elevated it and made more interesting. It would have added more backbone, I think. Because now it was just plot. What it felt this episode felt plot with no character backbone. There was no emotional I'm not saying it needed to be emotional, but just some kind of character dynamic. It was just oh, plot, and we're Indiana Jonesing our way, Goonies ourselves through this episode, and the dynamic was you said, it was kind of vanilla. It was just we're all happy. So.
Yeah, I agree. Brandon Deeks says, really fun episode, but not sure how it would advance the overall story. I think the Walker is a Zepho creation, though. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just talked about that, but good call out, Brandon. I think we agree. I think the internet agrees that it is some kind of Zepho creation. Didn't advance the overall story. Yeah, these are both. That's a criticism I have, too. Nail on the head, Brandon. Danny Holland says, I thought it was fun, but mostly was an obvious side quest. I think the season's pretty good so far. Yeah, I agree. It's obviously a side quest, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's still a good season. We're still enjoying it. It's just all right. Pretty straightforward. So yeah, guys, sorry we didn't post this earlier. We didn't know we were going to be recording our breakdown right now. We will post those earlier in the day so you have more time to respond, and stay tuned because we do have a fun, exciting announcement to make, which is that starting soon, we will be giving out free another Star Wars podcast t-shirts to the best question of the week. So we're going to start rating your guys' questions and comments and start sending you free t-shirts, which is awesome, right? So the winner each week will receive a t-shirt. So that will be coming soon. So make sure every week you guys are either emailing us at anotherstarwarspod@gmail.com or writing on our community page when we post before the episode comes out. And we will be rewarding you with a free t-shirt.
And who doesn't want a free t-shirt?
Everyone loves a free t-shirt. We're all suckers for free t-shirts. And maybe stay tuned for some other ideas from our t-shirt department as well. We'll have to get our t-shirt department to work on this, Melissa. I think we'll have to get those folks over in that department we have.
Yeah.
To get
in
this
our t-shirt
up and running
department.
soon.
In our very real t-shirt department.
And then you guys can start shopping for some fun merch if you guys like that.
If you're into that kind of thing.
If you're into that kind of thing. If you guys like the Another Star Wars podcast t-shirts that we have, we're going to sell those as well as some other stuff. And you might get one for free if you ask a good question. So stay engaged, stay involved. And
we'll have to bring those to the front of the show.
We'll have to what?
Bring the questions to the front of the show.
Sure, we can. We can switch up the format. I don't mind.
Maybe we'll do some playing around with our format. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. T-shirts.
Stay tuned.
If you're into that kind of thing, they're coming.
They're coming. So make sure you get to the community page or email us to participate there. Any final thoughts, Melissa?
What would you rate it?
Oh, rating. I would give this like a 7.5. No, I probably higher than that. 7.8.
I think 7.5, which is still pretty good.
This is like the Bad Batch scale, by the way. I can't really compare it to like live action shows. It's not very fair. But for animated shows, like I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think it was still super enjoyable. I
love the Indiana Jones stuff. I love the music. Visual effects were great. It was just fun, easy to watch.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that they take creative risks and they ask questions. Like the animated shows do a really good job of asking questions like, what does a Star Wars labyrinth / Indiana Jones maze look like? Like that's really interesting. Like they're asking a lot of questions with like the riot racing. Like they're just doing cool concepts, which I really appreciate that kind of creativity because I think that's what keeps Star Wars very new and very fresh to the viewer because they start doing all these unique things and they keep it alive in that way. You know, that's part of the reason like why The Phantom Menace was so great because it took risks and it did a lot of creative things like the droidicas and what the Jedi like I think The Phantom Menace, you know, for all the faults that people call it out for, is an extremely creative film. And I think when they do episodes like this in Bad Batch, I think they're honoring that kind of idea.
Yeah, and I love it. And I think it's important to keep that up because that's what makes Star Wars Star Wars.
But yeah, I overall fun episode, enjoyed it. But I guess we'll see you guys next week for episode 6 of Bad Batch. I'm not sure what the episode title is of that, but we'll do our reaction videos for that. Get our breakdowns in, and we'll keep on going. It has been a really good season so far. I'm very happy with it. But
in the meantime, guys, make sure you click like, subscribe. If you're a new viewer, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you join us again. If you're returning, we appreciate you guys too. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you guys thought about the show. Click like if you enjoyed the episode. Helps us do better on the algorithm. So any kind of engagement is helpful. Leave us a review on Spotify, Apple, Anchor Breaker, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever you get or listen to your podcast. You can also follow us on social media at @star_wars_pod. There you go. Or email us at anotherstarwarspod@gmail.com. Let us know what you guys think. Leave us a comment. We'll see you guys next time for episode 6 of our Bad Batch Breakdown series. We'll do our reaction and a breakdown next week. So we'll see you guys then.
Until then, may the force be with you. See you guys later.
See you guys later. Bye.